So the first thing we need to do is separate our mixed media paper into 4 different quadrants. So for this, I'm going to move my reference photo, and I'm going to take a ruler, and I'm going to make a nice even line going from top to bottom and left to right. Now for this, I want to use a lighter pencil because I'm going to end up erasing this line later. You can use any kind of ruler you want. For me, it helps to have ones with measurements, but I also have a cutting mat that has inches marked out. That way it's really easy to line things up. And so I'm finding the midpoint of my paper. And now I have my paper split into 4 different sections. So these sections are where all of our different materials will go: graphite, colored pencil, marker, and watercolor pencil. Now I'm going to start on my sketch. For my sketch, I'm not going to sketch directly on my mixed media paper, but I'm going to use some tracing paper. Now I'm going to line up my tracing paper so that it's the same as the paper underneath. I'm going to fold it in half. And the reason why I'm doing this is because when drawing something like a butterfly or something that's symmetrical, it's really hard to draw both sides the same. It's easier if we draw one side first and then trace that side again. So right now I'm going to draw 1/2 of my butterfly. And I think for this I'm going to use a 5B pencil, something that's nice and dark so that I'm able to see it easily. And I'm going to draw the left side of my butterfly, and that's just because I'm right-handed. So right here, I'm going to start with the center of my butterfly. And right now I'm just roughly sketching out the body, just so I know I have the right spaces between the wings and the body itself. And I'll clean up those lines afterwards. I'm blocking this out into very basic shapes. I'm not worrying about any of the little curves on the outer edge of the wing. Once you block out the basic shapes, you'll have better awareness of where everything goes related to each other. Now that I have my basic shapes drawn out, I'm going to go ahead and add some details to the rest of the body. And if you're working from a reference photo like this, you can always just trace the reference photo if you're pressed for time. This is a method that I use a lot, doing this tracing and doing 1/2 of the image first, because I usually work from real subjects and I can't just trace the actual butterfly. Now that I have the outer shape of my wing, I have to add some details. But here I'm going to be very selective with those details because I'm not shading anything in right now. I'm just kind of blocking out the major differences in this pattern. So I'm marking these very high contrast areas, but I won't be adding things like every single vein here because that's something that we can do later on in our final drawing. I've always enjoyed drawing insects and bugs because there's something small that you can then blow up to a larger size and really get to see those details. And especially beetles have a lot of genetic variation and really vibrant colors that aren't as noticeable when you're just looking at them in nature. And as a natural science illustrator, insects are usually something that I can collect much easier. I personally think it's harder to draw things like birds because they're always moving really quickly. Some of these shapes here that aren't as clear, that are a little blurred out, those I'm just going to roughly pencil in. And I can always use some shading to add the proper effect to get them to look the way they are on the reference. I'm adding a couple of these main veins up here. I'm not going to do the ones that are a lot lighter But these are just to help me personally so that I can get a sense of the relationship between these other big blotches. Like these blue spots also, those kind of fade out towards the bottom, but I'm just making a rough shape of where I believe they go. And once we add color or shading, we can always make them gradually fade out. Okay, I'm going to clean up some of these lines, take away the ones from the initial shapes that I drew. That way I don't get confused later on. And you can see that I do have some smudging in some places from my hand, which I can either erase using the Magic Rub Eraser or this kneaded eraser. But on something like a traced sketch like this, it's not that big of a deal. I would definitely want to erase it on my final paper. So the next step with drawing my butterfly is I need to be able to transfer this side and make it exactly the same on the other side.